Hey guys, it's Mike of Redneck Politics, where real American voices matter. Hope you guys are doing good. You, your family, everybody as well. I've kind of been watching the hearings of this Pam Bondi testifying to Congress. And you know, sometimes we get so caught up in the meat of whatever the situation is that we sometimes forget about what's really the most important part. And that is these Epstein victims. They're real people, man. These are young girls. Well, they're not young now, but these were young girls who were violated, who was manipulated, who was conned, who was pampered and money thrown up on them by nothing but one of the biggest predators that has been in human history. What makes him so terrible, other than just being the pedophile that he was, is because he was so wealthy and he was able to get around and cause more damage to the whole globe, not just, you know, in a town or a country. But Epstein, you know, he was a predator. But in the audience, while this hearing was going on, was 8 of the survivors. 8 of them. And they were all recognized. And one of the congressmen, I think it was Lou, I'm not sure, but he had told Pam Bondi that right behind her are 8 of the victims. Would she like to turn around and say anything to them? And the congressman had the survivor stand up, and this woman would not even acknowledge these victims. I mean, it's like they're getting violated over and over and over and over again. And it's because we've had men, for their own selfish purposes, their own selfish reasons, that knew of this Epstein trafficking. They knew about it, but yet chose to turn and look away. These victims have had to go through interrogation after interrogation after interrogation, reliving this trauma over and over and over and over again. And man, we're not just talking about, you know, something that happened one time and you send them to you know, your child through counseling because you want the best outcome possible for something like that. These people have had to go through this for years. You know, up in some cases up to 30 years. I mean, this is how long Epstein had this trafficking going on. I mean, he had it set up perfectly. He had Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a woman and could get the trust of these younger women a lot easier than what a man could, and so she would bring them into this fold. But the most heart-wrenching thing is they know the facts. DOJ knows the facts. They've had his file. His file at 6 million pages. I mean, they know who all the co-conspirators are. They know everything. And yet they're trying to continuously cover it up. And you have to ask yourself, why? What is so, what's in there that is so bad that it causes not only, the president's numbers are so fucking low, and it has to do with the Epstein case just as much as it does with the cost of living, inflation, and everything else. But his numbers are in the fucking gutter with this Epstein shit. That's why I think that's driving him more crazy than anything. Because number one, I don't really think he knows all of what's in there about him. Now they say he's been mentioned 500,000 times, something like that. But they do know that there is 53,000 mentions with Trump in those files. Now they're still going through all these emails and all this. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more come out, but I just don't understand. There's no other reason for Trump and his administration to not just turn over everything. There's no reason except why? Why is it? Honestly, Trump and Epstein knew each other for so many fucking years it wasn't funny, man. It was almost like they were high school buddies and went through college together. They chased after girls together. They had money. They were just rich, spoiled ass playboys. That's what they were. But now that we know about Epstein and his exploits, you also have to understand that just because he was caught when he was caught doesn't mean that he wasn't this pervert 10 years prior to that or 20 years prior to that. Because I'm sure he was. It's just how many times did he act on it before he really started acting on it with these young girls in this island. But Trump and him has been knowing each other, forever. And it's like I said on my previous, videos, they hung out together, man. Everything they did, they did together for the longest time. So you cannot tell me that Trump was not around many of those type of situations where there was a young female there, underage, that Epstein and Maxwell had brought over there. And the question is, did he indulge? Well, something, I don't think we'll ever know the answer to that. Even if he did, he is such a liar, he's not going to tell you any fucking way, But I wanted to get on here today and recognize these survivors, man. That's what's the most important thing. And it's like they keep reliving it every day because our own government is doing this to them. This shouldn't have been what it has become. You have your perpetrator, you have your victim. You arrest your perpetrator, you take the perpetrator to trial, your victim testifies, your perpetrator gone, bye-bye. Not in this case. No one has been, even if you do have a select group of bipartisan congressmen willing to go through everything to give it, another look, but yet be above board about everything. But, you know, the only problem with that is Trump has already violated every goddamn court order he's ever fucking had anyway. You know, he don't even listen to the courts anymore. So when you have somebody who has made himself vast amount of money, has a checkered past that I promise you has a lot of skeletons in them closets. There are people that have seen Trump in a compromising position with younger women, but you won't never get them to just admit it. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, Ghislaine Maxwell yesterday, day before yesterday, might have been yesterday, testified in an open forum, and she's there on video. And every time she was asked a question, she pleaded the fifth about everything. But then she gets word sent to Trump through a post that, hey, I'm willing to give you everything I got, but I want clemency. Now, what do you do, people? You know, some people may say, well, she deserves it too. Well, that bitch needs to get settled in, because that's where she's going to stay for the rest of her life. You know, that bitch ain't no better than fucking Epstein. You know, that bitch is just, she's another sorry motherfucker. You can say all that stuff, you know. And it's true. But she was manipulated and controlled by Epstein as well, Maxwell. You know, I believe that she was in love with him and would do probably anything. And I think he knew that. And I think that's how he kept her in that fold. Well, if you love me, you know. But Ghislaine Maxwell is right where she belongs. This was a serious thing that happened over, you know, a vast amount of time, from shore to shore, island to cities, to you know, to another country. This was a major thing happening, and I understand that she probably was manipulated. But lady, you knew this shit. You made that bed when you agreed to it, and you partook. That means you guilty. Well, she's threatening Trump, or wanting Trump to feel as if you don't give me this, then I'm going to spill the beans. Now, I'm going to tell you something. At one point in time, there was 3 guys that ran together. And they liked chasing little young girls. They had their own little young girl pageants. They even had Miss America pageant. But it was Epstein, Brunel, and Trump. Well, you can add Ghislaine Maxwell to that list, because she knew all the inner workings of everything going on. You got one man now who's sitting at the top as President of the United States. You got 2 who are dead, and they claim that each one of them committed suicide, which to me is a crock of fucking shit. You know, these men had vast amount of money. They could hire the best attorneys there are, and even if they got convicted, would get a slap on the wrist, just like Epstein did in 2008 with that sweetheart deal. So there's nothing that would lead Epstein to believe that that would not happen. So why would he commit suicide? Because he knows there's a good possibility with his money, his connections, and everything, he's walking again. But yet, if he was murdered, and Brunel was murdered, that's two. Dead folks can't talk. And you got now Ghislaine Maxwell, the third person in this group of four, who is not, just not only fighting for her freedom, because you got another perpetrator in that four who's the president of the United fucking States, and he will not be held accountable for anything he's done. That will never happen. The only way you can punish Trump is to vote his fucking ass out of office, and let's get America back to real shit. Because everything going on right now with Trump and his administration ain't nothing but a fucking joke anyway. But Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm afraid, she really needs to watch her P's and Q's, because if the only person that knows the truth about Trump and the situation with Epstein, it will be Ghislaine Maxwell, because the other two are dead. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? So, I pray that don't happen. I pray I'm wrong about that. But I know this, if them other two men were murdered and they didn't commit suicide, what makes you think that this one here wouldn't have their head on the chopping block? Because they were in that fold too. That woman could say a lot. Right now she's trying to work both sides. I know she's trying to at least get her time cut down or whatever. It's a shame that she's the only motherfucker doing time for all this shit, because there's plenty of cells that need to be filled with these motherfuckers that's been doing it for years. And why are we protecting a bunch of rich motherfuckers anyway, man? They do nothing for the United States. They live lavishly. And hey, listen, there ain't nothing wrong with living lavishly, but when I saw them girls in that hearing, you could just feel, the hurt, the sorrow, the pain, those emotions that they've had to have gone through for many, many years, and as of right now, we've got nobody being held accountable for that. I don't understand that. There is no man above the law. We have lived that way for over 250 years in a democracy. We are a free country. We have freedom of speech. We have the right to bear arms. We are Americans, and we have rights. But we also, it's our responsibility to try to correct these motherfuckers that come in and try to corrupt or change or tear down our democracy. And that's being done every day, especially by Trump and his administration. They just had a bill come to the floor yesterday. Mike Johnson wanted it to pass, so then they could come up and they could put it on hold for another bill on hold for a year, and Trump wanted that to be put off, and he demanded that all the Republicans, if you vote for this bill, I'm telling you, come primary, come midterms, I'm going to get you back. But the vote still failed. You still had 4 or 5 Republicans that's crossed the aisle on this particular bill. But you have to understand, the United States right now, our approval rating for our President of the United States is as low as 35%. That's the worst ever. And look at what England is going on with England, with Prince Andrew and that fallout from over there. And you know what's funny is they're taking it serious over there. They're debating it on the floor and everything else. They're putting it all out there. But why aren't we as Americans doing that? Our Congress people should be, that's what, your job is to do the right thing every time. If it's wrong, you don't vote for it. But you have to do the right thing by the American people. That's what's important. Even if you believe something else, but the people that voted you and put you into office believe, that's who you represent, man. So, but look, guys, I hope everything's going good with you and your families. I do definitely want to thank all my subscribers. Y'all are very important to me. Y'all are what makes me do this. I love it. Basically, I just give you facts on things that are happening, with our government and so forth, and just give you information, the facts that you're not necessarily getting from somewhere else. And for most of you, if you like this kind of content, hit that alert bell. Please hit that like button for me. And how about subscribing to my channel? I'll bring you the facts each and every time. I don't have a team to do this. I'm by myself. I do make mistakes, but I always try to make sure I have those facts that are correct. So, hey, hit that subscribe for me. Come back and listen to some more. You guys, y'all take care. Much love, peace, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.